today, first we have a 10-minute keynote, and then afterwards, I'm going to rush immediately into the conversation we're here for today. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns or anything else that you'd like to share with me, I have about a number of team members that are in here within the audience. I'll point out a number of them, but usually you and I can just have a conversation after this. Okay, so we have Kevin. Kevin, if you can come forward. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Make Media. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, and then after that, he's going to get into his keynote. If you would be so kind, just so kind, to give him a round of applause.
This thing on too. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Sam and the team at Startup Time for trusting me with this crowd. It's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So Marnus, thank you very much for pulling the crowd and allowing me to speak about it. So the topic that I wanted to talk about now was unlocking the value of your brand, specifically your personal brand. I believe in my heart that every single one of us here have a solution that we can be sharing with a customer, with a stakeholder, with somebody who needs to have your solution. And I believe as well in my heart that you are doing them an absolute disservice by not providing your service to them. So just by a show of hands, so I can get an idea for the crowd that we have tonight. Are there any business owners, entrepreneurs? You can kind of just stick your hand up. All right, thank you, hands down. Are there any budding entrepreneurs? So you've got the job and you're like side hustling, you're trying to kind of go out that way? Okay. So fairly, I think it's fair to say that we have a desire to be doing our own thing, right? To be doing something of value. So when we talk about value, just to make sure that we are on the same page, there is a difference between value and price. Okay? And I'm going to define that for you. Price, according to Warren Buffett, is something that you see. You determine the price. Value is something that your customer determines. And so long as value is above your price, as the perceived value is higher than the price, they'll probably buy from you. There's a good chance that they'll do that, right? I'll give you an example of it, right? Does anybody at this point in time have 20,000 Rand in their pocket? Hey. No, right? But if I told you that I have a Ferrari parked downstairs and I will give it to you for 20,000 Rand if you can give it to me in cash in the next hour, would you make a plan to give it? Right? Hook or crook, you're going to do something, you're going to organize the money, you're going to call up the loan, you're going to call up your granny. Listen, I haven't spoken to you in a few years, but listen, I didn't hear. Why? What is it that's in your heart? There's a value that you see in this Ferrari, and the cost for it doesn't seem so much in relation to the value. Now, every one of us have a value ourselves, and it's a training word. You're going to see it around if you're on LinkedIn in any way. It's called personal value, right? It's the value that you bring to the table, and it's the value that your customers see in you to determine whether they're actually going to buy from you, they're going to use your services. And what I wanted to talk about tonight was how do we go about unlocking that? So if we imagine that the value is behind a closed door and it's locked, I would start it off by asking this question. If I was to Google your name right now, what would I see? If you Google it, and I hope that you've done this at some point, that you've tried Googling yourself. Right? No, and it's not necessarily on Facebook, right? So if you Google yourself, right, that you see coming up is an indicator of your personal brand. Most likely, it's highly likely that it's going to be a LinkedIn profile if you have it. LinkedIn did this exercise over the last year and a half where they were giving away top voice contributions. And what that actually did, we thought, oh, we were being smart, we were getting top voice. But what it was doing was we were generating content for LinkedIn that was organic, that was allowing them to rank higher and higher and higher in SEO. So now, if you have a LinkedIn profile and you search for your name, there's a good chance that number one or number two in the ranking organically is going to be your LinkedIn profile. So, if I'm going to use your services and I've never met you before, If I'm going to hire you and you made an application into my business, I would be foolish if I didn't do a due diligence to find out who this person is, right? Of course you do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to type in your name, and that's going to come. I will probably go through the first 2-3 entries just to check where it is. But the thing that is in your control is, for example, that LinkedIn profile. What is it that you're displaying to the public? What is it that you're showing to them in terms of your expertise that is going to get your potential customer to buy into you? So if it's a locked door that we have that's behind us, I'm going to be talking about 3 things that are the key to unlocking the door. KEY. At the end of this conversation, if you take nothing away, just remember those 3 letters. KEY. Let's delve into that. K. Knowledge. Do you know yourself? Do you know what you represent? Do you know what it is that you sell? Can you sum it up for me in 1 or 2 sentences max? If I was to hop onto your profile, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, if you're on Insta, would I be able to determine from there what it is that you actually do? So as we think about that tonight, it's very important that if you don't know what you're selling, neither will your customer, neither will your stakeholder. So you need clarity in terms of knowing what it is that you want to be putting out there. And the way that I like to think of this, if we're talking about LinkedIn and providing the content over there, you try to think of these pillar content, usually 3 pillars. Think of 3 words that you want to be associated with you and with your business and what it is that you do. And you can start generating content in that direction. But more important than anything else, know yourself. That's the K. The E, express. What is it about you that makes you you? It's the quirks that you have. The way that you kind of say the whole time, or I do that a lot. How are you expressing that through your content? How are you expressing that so that somebody else on the other side, when they engage with your content, resonates with it? Yes, okay, maybe you do it perfectly, but when I I know on the other side there's somebody who's watching a video of me that's also looking at I get this. I understand. Unfortunately, with TikTok, over the last few years, it has allowed the idea that videos don't need to be perfect, that our content doesn't need to be perfect, that I can show up as I am, and that there's a customer on the other side who wants to see me like I am. That's to express. Lastly, why? Your voice. Your voice is the thing that is going to be carrying who you are to everybody else. I like to think of it with me and my customers as that we're playing a game of Marco Polo. Anybody know Marco Polo? Yep. Yeah? Alright? So the way the game works is there's somebody who's blindfolded and they say, Marco, and on the other side somebody says, Polo. Alright, and the idea is that using the voice, I'm supposed to, if I was the person that was blindfolded, I need to go to the voice and try to capture. Now, the aim of that game is, of course, to avoid being caught. But if you think about it, in our context, when you are running a business, you're playing that game with your customer. So the customer has a pain point. They have something that they need a solution for. And they're screaming out, Marco! And when you don't show up, when you don't express who you are, when you don't know who you are and you can't even communicate that to the customer, it's like you're just being silent. And there's a whole bunch of customers that need your solution right now. They can't get to it because you're not putting yourself out. You're not letting your voice come out to express it. Now, I am a very, very big fan of LinkedIn. I really believe it's one of the best networks to be on. I'm a big fan of video as well. So if there was 2 things that I would encourage you, and it's, again, this is not like the gospel, not the specific thing that you need to do. Consider those if you haven't been doing that as yet. How can you show up on video in your true self? With your quirks and your ums and your ahs and your imperfections and your awkwardness. That somebody else can relate to, that your customer can relate to, that they can hear about your expertise, that they can hear about your solution, and that you can solve that for them. So as we wrap up, remember those 3 letters for unlocking your personal brand, KEY. Know yourself, be able to express yourself, and please use your voice. Thank you very much.